From the Front Range of the Rocky Mountains in beautiful Colorado, it is Thursday, October 8th, 2020, and this is Truly News. I am your host, Jason Van Sickle. I hope that you are having a good week, and I hope that your day has started off great. As you start this new day, remember that you have the power to choose your mindset and how you view the world. And my thought for today is, we all have a framework of perception through which we view the world. That framework is created by the beliefs that we were taught as kids, the things that we have gone on to learn and experience, and the thoughts that we have had about the world throughout our lives. It is important to take time throughout life to reevaluate that framework, to look at our preconceived ideas and our biases. A warning sign that we may be working from an unhealthy framework of perception is when we feel anger, frustration, and contempt for other people simply because they see the world differently than we do. When those feelings arise, it is a sure sign that we need to reevaluate our thinking and strive for more compassion and tolerance of other people's ideas. Remember, you disagree with other people because you simply have a different framework for viewing the world. That's why patient, open, and honest dialogue between people is so important. We can learn a lot from each other, but not if we prejudge others' ideas as wrong simply because they disagree with our own ideas. And those are my thoughts for today. Now, let's focus on learning more about the world through a positive and objective review of the news. As always, we start with a look at the top headlines from across the country. The top headlines at most news agencies are focused on last night's vice presidential debate. Here's a sampling of those headlines. From CNN, Harris sometimes ignored questions that she was asked. Pence routinely paid even less attention. And from Fox News, Pence and Harris take different approaches to deliver their pitch and criticize each other. From the New York Times, a more civil face-off but sharp exchanges on the issue. Kamala Harris accused Mike Pence and President Trump of presiding over a catastrophic failure in public health policy. Mr. Pence sought to recast Mr. Trump's record on the pandemic and other issues, often in plain defiance of the facts. And from the Wall Street Journal, Pence and Harris clash on combating coronavirus at debate. The pandemic dominated the 2020 campaign's only vice presidential debate, but the candidates also sparred over taxes, the economy, fracking, and the Supreme Court. In other headlines, from the New York Times, President Trump touts unproven and experimental drug as cure. In a video on Wednesday evening, the president portrayed an unproven antibody cocktail being developed by the drug maker Regeneron as a miracle cure. Trump also called his infection a, quote, blessing from God, unquote. And from USA Today, 5 things you need to know on Thursday. Number 1, post-debate. Harris and Pence jump back on the campaign trail. In the wake of Wednesday night's first and only vice presidential debate, Vice President Mike Pence and Senator Kamala Harris will jump back on the campaign trail Thursday and move from Utah to Arizona. Harris will join Joe Biden, her running mate at the top of the Democratic ticket, on the trail for the first time and meet with tribal leaders in Phoenix and then give a speech and take a bus tour through Phoenix and Tempe. Pence plans a campaign stop in the Phoenix suburb of Peoria for an event at a tactical equipment manufacturer. Number 2, Friday's online voter registration system back in the spotlight. U.S. Chief Justice Mark Walker could decide Thursday whether to grant a request to stop Florida from enforcing its voter registration deadline for the general election after the online system crashed due to an unprecedented volume of traffic. For several hours before Monday's midnight deadline, voters encountered error messages and delays in trying to get on the state's website after several days of intermittent glitches and interruptions. Number 3, Hurricane Delta re-strengthened to a Category 2 storm early Thursday with maximum sustained winds of 100 miles per hour as it charged towards the U.S. Gulf Coast. Landfall is expected sometime Friday near the Louisiana coast. And number 4, Regal will close all U.S. theaters. Cinema chain Cineworld will close all of its movie theaters in the United States on Thursday after the postponement of the new James Bond film left a big hole in schedules. The closure will affect 536 U.S.-based Regal cinemas and 127 Cineworld and Picture House venues in the United Kingdom. And number 5. Next up in Nobel Prize is the Literature Award. The week-long celebration of Nobel Prizes continues Thursday with the announcement of the 2020 winner in literature. Prizes in medicine, physics, and chemistry were awarded earlier this week. Still to come are the high-profile Nobel Peace Prize on Friday and the Economics Prize on Monday. And finally, in our look at the top headlines, here are the stories that are crossing the wire at Reuters News. The Trump administration on Wednesday sought help from the U.S. Supreme Court in its effort to wind down counting of the 2020 U.S. Census. Also, a federal appeals court on Wednesday said Manhattan's district attorney can enforce a subpoena seeking Donald Trump's tax returns and other financial records for a criminal probe. And finally from Reuters, Purdue Pharma, the OxyContin maker controlled by the members of the wealthy Sackler family, is nearing an agreement to plead guilty to criminal charges as part of a broader deal to resolve U.S. Justice Department probes into its alleged role in fueling the nation's opioid crisis. And those are your top headlines for today. To put us all in a better mood after those headlines, we now present our top 5 joke countdown. As usual, bringing us the countdown is my friend Billy Cunningham. Billy is a comedian who goes by the stage name Potbelly. And now I turn things over to Billy.
Thank you, Jason. Our jokes today are based on jokes from Reader's Digest at rd.com. Now, I can't promise funny, but like Mama told me before I went on stage at the Screamin' Tuckus Vaccination Clinic and Comedy Club, she said, "Billy, don't forget your pants." Oh, wise words to live by. Thanks, Mama. Oh, well, remembering Mama's wise words of encouragement, I bring you the top 5 countdown. And our category today is mom jokes. Oh, baby, here we go. And our number 5 joke in today's countdown. Early on, when my wife and I just started dating, I asked her, "Why doesn't your father like me?" "Don't take it personally," she said. "He never liked anyone I've dated. Well, actually, there was this one guy he liked, but that's because he was exactly like Daddy." "What happened to that guy?" I asked. "Well," she said, "I had to break up with him because Mama couldn't stand him." Yeah, moving on. Number 4. You know you're a mom when picking up another human being to smell their butts is not only normal, but totally necessary. Yeah, that's a better one. I like that one. Oh, number 3. My mama once said, "Cleaning with kids in the house is like brushing your teeth with Oreos." Yeah, all right. Number 2. The first time my wife flew, she was a nervous wreck. During takeoff, the roar from the engines proved reassuring. It meant that they were working. At least that's what she reasoned. But then the plane leveled off, and so did the sound of the engines. Grabbing the armrest tight, she said aloud, "Did we stop?" Okay, first of all, that's a funny question. Second of all, I gotta tell you, without skipping a beat, my son said, "Yeah, Mom, they're just taking a quick pit stop on a cloud." That's my boy. Oh, yeah. Oh, wait. And your number one mom joke of the day. My mother was rushed to the hospital following a serious tumble. There, the staff placed a band around her wrist with large letters warning fall risk. With a smirk on her face, she turned to me and said, "I should let them know that I am also a winter, spring, and summer risk." You go, girl. Oh, Mama. Oh, well, those are your jokes for the day. I'm glad we had a little time together this morning, and I look forward to hearing you listen to me again tomorrow. And in the meantime, be kind to others, be good to yourself, and keep on smiling. This is Billy Potbelly Cunningham signing off. Over and out.
There you have it, folks. Billy and his top 5 countdown. Thanks, Billy. And now we return to the news. From the world of science and technology, the Associated Press reports, meats and cheeses launched to the space station. A space cargo ship recently rocketed into orbit carrying pressurized air tanks to help offset a leak in the space station, a new 23 million titanium toilet custom built for women, and a virtual reality camera to provide cinematic views of spacewalks. And it also carried a smorgasbord of fancy meats and cheeses and other fresh foods. There's more food than usual headed to the space station, given that its population will soon expand from 6 to 7 when SpaceX launches its next manned mission to the station on October 31st. Also, since there may not be another resupply flight before Thanksgiving, the astronauts were given the special opportunity to request some fresh foods. Based on those requests, the most recent supply mission included prosciutto, Genoa salami, smoked Gouda, provolone, brie, cherry tomatoes, oranges, pecans, and chocolate-covered cranberries. And in other science and technology headlines from USA Today, United Arab Emirates to launch spacecraft to the moon in 2024. A top official in the United Arab Emirates says his country plans to send an unmanned spacecraft to the moon in 2024. The UAE joins a growing list of countries who are headed to the moon. In addition to the U.S., which is the only country to have landed astronauts on the moon, to date, unmanned missions to the moon have been conducted by the Soviet Union, Japan, the European Space Agency, China, India, Luxembourg, and Israel. And our final article from Science and Technology News from Popular Science, Toyota's robotic butler will serve you from the ceiling. Toyota has introduced a new robotic butler that has a unique design. Instead of the traditional walking or rolling movement of past robots, Toyota's robot is designed to hang from a special set of tracks built into a home ceiling. The advantages? The robot has a simpler time learning the layout of the home, it doesn't need to learn complex paths around obstacles, and it can fold up tightly in the ceiling when it's not in use. There is no word yet as to when or if this robot will be available for consumer purchase. And those are your science and technology headlines for today. In health news, an article from the Associated Press asks, how long can someone be contagious before a positive virus test? Studies have shown that people may be contagious for about 2 days before developing COVID-19 symptoms. In fact, right before developing symptoms is when people are likely the most contagious, said Dr. Werner Bischoff, an infectious disease specialist at Wake Forest University. People who never develop symptoms can spread infection too. That's a problem because many people would never seek testing unless they developed symptoms or knew they'd been exposed. And in a follow-up from yesterday's reporting on contaminated fruit from Walmart, WebMD reports a recall of pre-cut fruit at Walmart from listeria fears. Check your fridge. Country Fresh is recalling containers of pre-cut fruit sold in 9 states because they may be contaminated with Listeria, a bacteria that can cause illness. The recall includes pre-sliced apples, mangoes, pineapples, grapes, and cantaloupe sold at Walmart locations in Arkansas, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Missouri, Oklahoma, and Texas. The FDA says the fruit was packaged in various containers with best if used by dates between October 3rd and October 11th. And that is your health news for today. Now we take another break from the headlines for today's Words of Wisdom. To present this segment is Dr. Alfred Feinstein, one of my philosophy professors from college. And here is Dr. Feinstein.
Thank you, Mr. Van Sickle. Hello, and welcome to today's Words of Wisdom. Today's Words of Wisdom are from Nelson Mandela, who said, "If you talk to a man in a language he understands, that goes to his head. If you talk to him in his own language, that goes to his heart." Mandela's wise words are good advice about how we should talk to each other as human beings. Far too often, especially when we disagree with other people, we try to put our own thoughts and ideas into convincing words that we think they can understand. However, if we want to truly communicate with each other and learn from each other, then we first need to listen. We need to listen to other people and understand their perspectives so that we can then have a real conversation based on a shared understanding. A conversation that reaches the heart because it is based on mutual respect and common ground. And those are your words of wisdom for today. Back to you, Jason.
Thank you, Dr. Feinstein, for those wise words of wisdom. We now return to our review of today's news. In entertainment news, we start with new movies. And today's movie is Spontaneous, starring Katherine Langford and Charlie Plummer. This movie falls into the category of comedy, fantasy, and sci-fi. And the description from IMDb says, "Get ready for the outrageous coming-of-age love story about growing up and blowing up. When students in their school begin exploding, literally, seniors Mara and Dylan struggle to survive in a world where each moment may be their last." Spontaneous is now available for rental on Amazon Prime Video. Moving on, we take a look at newly released shows, and today's show is Next. This crime, drama, sci-fi series stars Evan Whitten, Dan Fink, and John Slattery. And the description from IMDb says, a former tech CEO joins a Homeland cybersecurity agency to stop the emergence of a rogue artificial intelligence. Next is now available on Fox Now. Finally, in our entertainment news, we take a look at newly published books. And our book for today is Total Power, a book by Kylie Mills that is based on the Mitch Rapp series by Vince Flynn. This book is presently number 5 on the New York Times bestseller list. And here is a summary from Amazon.com. When Mitch Rapp captures ISIS top technology expert, he reveals that he was on his way to meet a man who claims to have the ability to bring down America's power grid. Rapp is determined to eliminate this shadowy figure, but the CIA trap fails. The agency is still trying to determine what went wrong when the ISIS operatives helped the cyber terrorist do what he said he could, plunge the country into darkness. Rapp and his team embark on a desperate search for the only people who know how to repair the damage, the ones responsible. Total Power is now available in print at your local bookstore, and it is also available in print, Kindle, and audiobook formats on Amazon. And that concludes our entertainment news for the day. As always, we end our broadcast with a look at what we call Happy News, and here is your happy news story for the day. Today's story comes from WHIO-TV in Dayton, Ohio, and it is about a McDonald's employee who showed kindness to a mother in the drive-thru. After spending the day running a car full of kids between doctor's appointments, sports practices, and school, Brittany Reed decided that dinner that night would be quick and simple: McDonald's. After placing her order, Brittany suddenly realized that she had left her wallet at home. With a backseat of crying children, Brittany herself now wanted to cry. Pulling up to the pay window, she explained that she would have to cancel her order and come back later. Without hesitation, the teenager, working the drive-thru, with a name tag that said Wyatt on it, and a McDonald's sticker that read, "I'm essential," said to Brittany, "No worries," and he reached into his pocket, pulled out his wallet, and paid for her meal. Talking about the experience, Brittany said that she was initially caught off guard by the act, but then it really warmed her heart and reminded her that there really is goodness in the world. Lindsay later returned to McDonald's to repay Wyatt. It took some convincing to get him to accept the money, but he did. And Brittany left him with a few words of encouragement, telling him that she really respected his big heart, and she hoped that he always kept that kind and caring spirit for the rest of his life. And I agree, because the world needs more people like Wyatt, a teenager, likely making minimum wage, working during COVID, but still having the heart to reach into his own pocket to help a stranger. And that is your news for October 8th, 2020. Have a great day.